Hey everybody, I'm John Granato, and that is Josh Jordan. You can hear us on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. You can also see Josh's work at sportsmaphouston.com. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet to get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. I'm not crazy about this new playoff format, Josh. I'm really not. You get 5 days off between the end of the season and the ALDS. This gives them a couple of potential advantages. It also is you got time to heal, but there are also some downfalls to this. First, okay, one of the good things is you got time to game plan. Is Dusty is still an X factor here for me. I mean, listen, as far as I'm concerned, I got to be worried about the hitters first. Dusty second. Dusty having time and guys having time off and Dusty having too much time to think about this thing, I don't think that's a positive.
I will say this, that when I was thinking about this, the positives are you have arguably the best analytics team in all of baseball. And now you have these 5 days to where your analytics team, all they have to be focused on is who they think the Astros are going to be playing. You know, there'll be two teams going. Half our guys focus on these guys, half our guys focus on those guys, and we're not playing any games at that time. So our analytics guys aren't having to help us, the Astros, during that. We can just focus on who we're playing, which I think is a huge advantage. But to your point, Dusty might be like, oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. You know, Maton, you're in the game. That's what worries me a little bit here, John, is he may have the best game plan, but Dusty might just Dusty all over it.
Well, yeah, well, I think we just have to deal with that. And Will Smith, we'll find out. I hope Click has as much input as possible. But here, we had Art Howe on, and Art Howe, I said, well, what about the pitchers? You know, I'm worried about 5 days off for the pitchers. He's like, I'm more worried about the hitters. You know, you lose your timing, you lose your swing, you lose, you know, that intensity that you got day in and day out. You find something, and you just go, look at Altuve, how great he is. I don't want Altuve having 5 days off, not the way that he's hitting right now. And when Jordan gets on a streak, the way he's hitting, all of them, Bregman gets on, they're all streaky hitters. You give them 5 days off, there's a chance that they're going to come back. And listen, all-star breaks ruin teams sometimes. That's just 3 days or 4 days. This is 5 days. I think there's a chance. Now, you can simulate games. I think you got to have Garcia throwing because he's not going to. You got to have Urquidy throwing because they're not going to be in. But you got to have it like it's a real game. These guys are playing, and they got to get their at bats.
They do, and I heard Dusty on the flagship talking about, you know, they're trying to put some plans together for dealing with this time off. I believe he looked back to when La Russa had to deal with, you know, the earthquakes during the World Series in San Francisco, and there was some time off that they weren't expected. So Dusty asked some of those guys on the team, like, how did you guys deal with those delays? You know, what did La Russa do? So it feels like there's a plan there, but also some rest would be good. We saw Jordan just turn his ankle. Altuve's getting some days off here or there because, you know, he got hit by that pitch in the elbow. So that can be a good thing. But I will say this, as much as I'm not a John Boy guy, he always makes the point that if there's one team that can flip the switch in the playoffs, it is the Houston Astros. These guys know what they're doing. You can see when the games matter, they buck up. Now,
we've seen wildcard teams, though, before. I mean, wildcard teams get to the World Series. Wildcard teams win the World Series. And actually, it's not that all. I think we're going to find out in a couple of 5 years. I think we're going to find out that maybe it's an advantage to be one of the wildcard teams because you are playing, and you're still going to have your number one starter in line to start game one of the division series. So, you know, maybe the one game before, you know, you had your number one guy and then you had to go to number two for the division series. I think you got a chance for this to be a real disaster for teams that are really, really good because of this rest, because of this rust, because of pitchers not hitting their spots and hitters losing their swings. And plus, there's something to be said for momentum too. Oh, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm on a roll right now. We saw the Colorado Rockies come out of nowhere and go on an unbelievable run. Then they had to wait for 4 days to get the Red Sox in the World Series, and the Red Sox just destroyed them. I mean, that time off can be really, really penal to these teams. We'll find out how this works out, but we won't have a big enough sample size for maybe 4 to 5 years.
That's true. If I'm going to look at the positive side, not just the analytics department, but the Astros players are going to be able to watch these games. You know, look at the pitchers they're going to be facing. We know how good Bregman is at seeing something and tipping off some of his teammates. Maybe they pick up some things watching who they're going to play, and it works out in their favor.